I went back and played every single Elder Scrolls game, all the way from Arena to Skyrim to Oblivion Remastered. Now, I'm going to be ranking these in a tier list, going to give one the worst, one the best, and the rest are just going to fill in the S through the F tier. Now, I am ranking these without nostalgia being a factor because for the first time, I'm playing a lot of these games. You know, I've never played Daggerfall. If my rankings make you mad, don't come to my house and kill me. Just put your opinions in the comments below and maybe we can talk about it. And hey, before we get into the list, if you enjoy this video, like and subscribe. It helps me out a ton. But anyways, let's get to the ranking. So the Elder Scrolls Online is probably the most unique Elder Scrolls game. It is not an RPG, it is a MMO. I'm not a fan of MMOs, but I will say if I was gonna play an MMO, I'd probably play this because it actually has real-time combat. Now, this game is basically just trying to be Skyrim with multiplayer. A lot of the HUD and everything is very inspired by Skyrim. A lot of times it just doesn't have an identity because it just feels like you're playing a bootleg Skyrim with not interesting quests, a not interesting open world. A lot of the quests are just run here, do this, run over there and do that. And yeah, you could probably say that about Skyrim, but at least your actions impact the world. Given it's an MMO, your actions are not going to impact the world. You really don't feel like you exist in this place. When you're doing a quest, there's just, 20 other people in the room with you doing the same quest in their world. There is like a big PvP thing in Cyrodiil. You have to pay for ESO Plus, and I was not going to do that for this video because while the game wasn't the most unenjoyable thing I've played, it wasn't the most enjoyable thing, so I'm not gonna fork out more money for it because the game's already $20 to begin with and they shove microtransactions in your face. Probably should be free to play. Maybe I'd be a little bit more lenient on it. The combat's at least the most fun I've had in an MMO, so there's a plus. This one's just gonna go in the C tier. It is incredibly average at best, but it's also not the worst thing I've played. Everybody's played Skyrim. It is one of the greatest RPG games ever made, but that doesn't mean it's perfect, especially after playing Oblivion. One thing I do like better in this game is the open world has more variety. The dungeons are just so much better. I honestly don't even know what I could say about Skyrim that hasn't been said before. It is amazing. It is hard to resist a stealth archer playthrough, which is what I did for this video. The only thing I have really to complain about it is a lot of the quests feel like they were written by an intern. You just go to the mage's school and you can just get in, and then it feels like within like 3 quests you're the leader of the mages guild. Oblivion, you have to go around, get recommendations, and then whenever you're in the actual school you feel like you're incentivized to use the magic, whereas in here you're not. And that goes for pretty much every single guild quest. It's not just the mages guild. A lot of them just feel toned down. You just kind of show up and you're the leader within a day. I don't like having the feeling that I'm like this special chosen one. I like just being a guy, because then it's easier for me to role play not doing the main quest, because with the Dragon Crisis, it's like, why wouldn't you just go do it? Some of the best gameplay in the series, other than the magic being worse than Oblivion. They should maybe try to fix that for the next mainline Elder Scrolls game. What is there else to say about Skyrim? It's easily going in the A tier. It's not a perfect game, but it is one of the most iconic games ever made. Elder Scrolls Arena is one of the most interesting games I think I've ever played in my life. Now, I try to be pretty lenient when it comes to old games. We didn't have the quality of life features that we had back in the day, but some of the design questions on this game, I feel for gamers back in the 90s for whenever this came out. A lot of the controls are so scuffed, and I don't know if there is mods to fix the controls. I'm playing this as if you just download it. I'm not trying to influence anything with any mods. You move around with the arrow keys. Like, I want to know who invented WASD to move, because we undervalue them, because moving around with the arrow keys and trying to do things with your mouse, you also have to hop over to like F6 to open your inventory. So the keyboard's all over the place. Don't even mention to me the combat. You actually have to swing the sword. I think I was reading that this game has like a chance system, like your tabletop RPG. Chance systems are fine in a turn-based game. This is going in the worst overall tier. Listen, it's influential for the time, but it is not a fun game to play today. And I applaud anybody who can play it today. I don't even know why I'm ranking this one, because the only similarities it shares with the Elder Scrolls series is simply the names. Pretty sure the models are pretty much ripped straight from Skyrim. You're not ever doing quests. You're just going into little dungeons and doing a mission, and then you get out. You tap to collect loot. It is just the most mindless and boring game on this list. It even ties progression into timers, you know, because it's a mobile game. It wants you to pay for boosters and stuff because there's like a town building feature. And I didn't get too far into it. I'm not going to sit here and play it every single day or pay to skip the timers on certain things. And then the gameplay for it is just tap or swing. There's nothing else. And I did play it on the Switch, so I was hoping for a little bit more of an improved experience, but you're not going to find that on the Switch at all. And I know I'll get flamed for saying this, but I did enjoy my time with it more than Arena, so Arena is still my least favorite one. This one's going in the F tier, but it's not as bad as Arena. Now, Daggerfall, it was a little bit better. I wasn't impressed with it, but at least the frames were to a consistent speed to where I didn't want to tear out my eyeballs. Now, I feel like I'm being too harsh. This game just has some of the same problems that I was facing in Arena, and I was a little aggravated at that because it's not a fun game to play at all. You know, you still have to swing, and then to look up and down is 0 and period on the number pad. 0 and period on the number pad. You know how long it took me to figure that out? I had a rat at my foot and I couldn't hit it. You have to manually save, so the first time I died, I had to go through the character creation again. Maybe these old games just aren't for me. Daggerfall, it was better. You know, I understood the gameplay more, but it still didn't fix a lot of the issues that I had with Arena. It just kind of felt the same. I didn't even get to the open world. Getting through the dungeon was the single hardest thing I've ever had to do in a video game, I think. And I've played all the Souls games, which maybe that's not that hard. I applaud gamers from the 90s for even figuring out how to do half of this, because this is the most challenging and frustrating game that I have ever played besides Arena. And I want to like it. You know, there's people out there I see talking about Daggerfall. I can't get behind it. But while this one is going in the F tier as well, it's not the worst. Arena is just a tad bit worse. There is a Unity remake that some fans made. So I'm going to try that one out, and I'm going to rank it separate because apparently it's just a lot better. So Daggerfall Unity was a much better gaming experience. You can at least move around with WASD. If you're gonna play Daggerfall, just play this one. It's the same game, but it runs so much better. I'm still, though, not a fan of Daggerfall because it still keeps a lot of the gameplay design decisions. I think Daggerfall would benefit maybe the most out of a remaster or remake like they did with Oblivion. There's some cool ideas in here, like the map the size of Great Britain. That's cool. I want to explore that, but I don't enjoy the game at all to do that. Whenever you attack an enemy, you're still only having a chance to hit them. Like, I think I swung at a bat like 50 times. I could just be playing the game wrong, and maybe that's a fault to me, but I still don't enjoy this game. Unity was better, so it's going to go in the D tier. You know, it's not the best, but it's not the worst. Morrowind surprised me a lot more than I thought it would. I was reading about this game and it sounded like it had a lot of the issues that I had with the older Elder Scrolls games. They really refined that older system, and you can tell this is the start of like the modern Elder Scrolls template. While the combat is still chance-based, I felt like I had an easier understanding of it than I did with like Daggerfall or Arena. You really have to hone in on your major skill weapon type. Now, there are some janky things about it. I think this game came out in like 2002, so you have to forgive it for some things. Like, there's no voice acting, or if there is, there might just be like very seldom, and it feels like a Zelda game, and there's a lot of reading. And this game, it doesn't really hold your hand, and it's nice to see that, because nowadays, like, you play Skyrim, everything is marked. You know exactly where to go, when to go, and in this one, they kind of just give you directions, and you kind of just set off and explore and exist in this world, and it was really nice to have that freedom. It just felt like Daggerfall, like what I wanted out of Daggerfall, but just better. Way more focused and way more enjoyable. The quests were good. I really like the open world. It is such a weird open world. because the only way before this that I had experienced Morrowind was through Elder Scrolls Online, and it did an okay job, but something about the graphic style in this one just kind of sells the whole atmosphere in a way that ESO never really did. So it's not my favorite Elder Scrolls game, but I really like this one, so I'm going to throw it in the B tier because it was fun. There's nothing else to say about it. So I kind of feel bad for rating this one because I was having so many technical issues. I had to reinstall this game 3 times, and even then, after like the first level, I would get to an area and it would just stop loading. The game would crash because I was out of like memory to load the game, and this game's from like 2001 or something. It's insane. And I mean, before that, I wasn't enjoying the game anyway. There was the weirdest controls. There's no mouse controls in this game at all. You move with the arrow keys and you attack with control. To move over to like unsheath your sword is S, and then to heal is H. So you're all over the keyboard. I've had this problem with Arena now and Daggerfall. The only game I didn't really have issues with was Battlespire. That was the only game that had controls that made sense. It's just not fun. They try to go for a more story-driven thing rather than you're a nameless face. This when you play as an actual character. And I just don't think it was really working for the game, because the most interesting thing about Elder Scrolls is that you can go anywhere and do anything you want. And this one, the first like 20 minutes is mostly cutscenes, and then I finally get out of the cutscenes and the game crashes. So I do feel bad for ranking this one, but I didn't enjoy the gameplay at all, and I wasn't enjoying the story at all. So I'm just going to give this one an F tier immediately. This is the worst one so far. I definitely liked Arena and Daggerfall better. I thought Arena was going to be the worst, but no, this is the worst one. I'm just going to come out and say it. Oblivion is one of the greatest games ever made. If you think this isn't the best of the mainline Elder Scrolls games, then you're just wrong. The quests in this game are amazing. The magic's amazing. You can make your own spells. I could go on and on about how amazing this game is. If you haven't done the Dark Brotherhood quest, stop watching the video and go do it. It's the best quest in any Elder Scrolls game. You do this like whodunit murder in a house. It's so much fun. The Mage's School. You actually get to go to school. You don't just get in after shooting like a fireball at the ground like you do in Skyrim. You have to go around, get recommendations. And then also in this one, you're not some chosen one. You know, you're just a guy. And it makes the game feel so much better because of that. You're not ever feel like pressured to do the main story if you don't want to, but you aren't crossing the border or whatever. You can make your own reason for being in jail. So if you're somebody who doesn't care about the Empire, then fine. It makes for such good role playing that you can get out of jail. And, you know, if you don't want to go do the main quest, then it makes sense. And then the only con I can even think of, and this is just for what came later, is the open world just isn't as varied as Skyrim's, but it was also made in like 2005, so it's fine. I love this game. This game's going to go in the A tier because I do think there is one game that is better than this, but so far, Oblivion has been our greatest game we have played. I love this game. Battlespire was an okay game. It's basically just Daggerfall, but you scaled it way down. It is set in one location. It is way more of an action adventure. You still get to pick your class, but that's really the extent of RPG systems in this game. You can pick dialogue, but there's not a lot of quests to go on. There's not a lot of choices. It's way more you're just going through the spire and battling enemies. I think I read it was supposed to be a DLC for Daggerfall, and you can tell there's not much in the way of content. I think the main story was only like 15 hours long. Pros: the combat was the most fun of any of the older Elder Scrolls games. I would say pre-Morrowind, this was the best combat they had. You didn't have a chance system. You actually just swung your sword and it would hit the enemy. Crazy idea, I know. I guess if I had to give this one a rating, I'm going to give it a D tier. You know, it's not horrible, but it's not something I'm ever going to go back to. The only game that I think that could be even better than Oblivion is Oblivion. This game takes everything you love about Oblivion and it keeps it, and it actually changes things that needed changing, like the weird level scaling. Because in original Oblivion, your minor skills wouldn't level you up. So your major skills are leveling up, you're leveling up, but your other skills aren't keeping up. And then they eventually just become useless, and you go further in the game, you feel like you're getting weaker. This game is still Oblivion under the hood. The only thing they did was change it visually. They didn't remake it. It is a remaster, even though it looks like a completely different game. And it's just taking one of the best games ever made and just simply making it better. This is the best Elder Scrolls game. It's immediately going in the top spot. I love Oblivion. Now it's even better. So do yourself a favor and go play it. That's my ranking of the Elder Scrolls series. If I made you mad, just tell me your lists and put it in the comments. It's my opinion, but I want to hear yours too. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. And anyways, I'll see you in the next one.